What's up everybody, Kier Gomes here and welcome back. I apologize for being late on this, but I did want to take my time and make sure I brought you a very quality review for a very quality deck of cards that a lot of people are anticipating. If you couldn't guess from the trailer, today we're looking at the First Playing Cards V2 by Ramsay. Before we get started, please do drop a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already. Without further ado, let's roll that intro and get you guys on your way.
Let's go.
Okay, so for this review, we're going to do something a little bit different, but I have done it before. We're going to compare a few things on the First Playing Cards V2 to the First Playing Cards V1, so we can kind of compare and contrast, and then I'm going to give you my opinion about which one I think is better. So if you're familiar with First Playing Cards, the V1, which is right here, this was Ramsay's first independent release of his own deck of cards. It was completely crowdfunded, which I thought was super cool. However, as a result of that, there was not that many printed, at least not as many as this time around. So unfortunately, if you missed the launch of the First Playing Cards V1, the only way that you can really get your hands on them now is if somebody is selling one through eBay or some kind of third-party retailer. Now, the First Playing Cards V2 are also sold out at this point. However, there were 30,000 of these printed. They sold out, I believe, before the first 24 hours. The front of the tuck case is done in a very, very soft matte black. Super dark, but it almost feels like the Monarchs deck by Theory 11. It's very smooth, almost velvety. And then you get this gold foil band that goes all the way from the front to the sides and the back. You can see cut out of the foil stamp is the First Playing Cards emblem. The bottom says First Playing Card Co. by Ramsay. Inside the tuck flap, you can see the CR emblem in gold foil. And very similar to the V1, you have all of those First Playing Card logos, gold foil stamp. Now, I'm not a huge tuck case guy, but it is a very, very simple design, which I am a fan of. As well, I really like the black and gold. It's a very photogenic deck if you're taking pictures of it for your Instagram, but as well, it looks really good just if you're holding it and letting it catch the light. Let's take a look at the cards. This is what the back design of the cards look like. You can see it is very similar to the V1. If we do a side-by-side comparison, you can see that the V1 is white with gray CR monograms repeating, and that gold foil stamped First logo. As well, it has a very thin gold border. Basically the same, but it is the inverse, so you can see that it is the CR monogram in white with a black background. The biggest difference, though, is that instead of having a thin gold foil border, it has a nice and thick gold foil border. Now, I say nice, but I don't know why, because it's actually my least favorite part of this entire deck. If you're familiar with things like the Orbit deck or the Cherry Casinos, anything that bleeds off of the edge make for really nice fan work. So you can see that from the trailer, but as well, I'll show you here. Your Ace of Spades is going to be the exact same as it was on the First Playing Cards V1. It's just an enlarged spade pip with a gold foil stamped First right in the middle of it. Really simple Ace of Spades. I'm a fan of that. I like it a lot. All right, now you are going to get two identical jokers. These are really nice as well. They just say Joker in the corner and have a gold foil bar in the middle that says First. I actually like these more than the V1 jokers. The V1 jokers looked like this. They had that gray Ramsay logo in the middle. Not bad, but just a little too on the nose for me. All right, now as far as Gaff cards, the V1 came with a blank card and an extra 4 of spades so that you could do the voodoo effect that Ramsay released like 2 years ago. The V2 actually comes with, instead of a blank card, it's just a gold ink snake kind of coiled up right there. This reminds me a lot of David Blaine, which might have been the inspiration there. Either way, it's a pretty cool card, but I don't have any effects I would do with it, so if you do, let me know down below. And as well for Gaffs, you are going to get a duplicate 4 of spades, which of course is good for ambitious card routines, but it's also really good for card to impossible location. For the most part, your faces are going to be pretty much bicycle standard. You can see the diamonds are exactly bicycle orientation, and they are that same bright red color, which I appreciate if you're going to be using this deck for Magic. Clubs are pretty much the same, hearts are the same, and spades are the same. Okay, now another difference between the V1 and the V2 is the V2 has a semi-custom royalty. It's bicycle standard, but the color customization has swapped out all the existing blue, red, and yellow from traditional bicycle cards to just black and gold ink. I think that looks okay. This looks a lot like a Theory 11 court. The clubs are basically the same. Same for the diamonds, and same for the spades. Now, I like these courts a lot better than the V1 courts, so I'll show you what those look like. You can see on the V1, you almost cannot see the faces of the royalty, so they're very, very light. I like the colors a lot, however, that gray line work instead of black really makes it difficult to see, especially if I'm far away, or if I'm in low light like I am right now. I apologize for that, by the way. I'm filming a lot later than usual. Overall, I was not a fan of the courts on the V1, but I have no problem with the courts on the V2. Now, we're gonna get into the handling of the deck, but basically, if you've ever owned a Crush Bicycle stock deck of cards, these cards feel the exact same. There's really nothing special about them, except that when you first open them from the tuck case, all that foil is kind of stuck together. So you gotta shuffle them, spring them, dribble them a couple of times. This is a deck that you really do need to break in before you use it, because if not, the cards get stuck together pretty easy. All right, so as usual, let's go ahead and switch the angle. I'll show you a little bit about how the cards handle, and we'll take it from there. So here is just a closer look again at the back design. So you can see in a fan, these cards look great. This gold foil stamp really, really adds to your fans. I think that looks really cool. One thing though, again, is that the V1 didn't have these huge, chunky gold borders, which in my opinion is a little too much. Because it kind of complicates your fans a little bit and it makes them look a bit less professional, I guess. After you've used the cards a little bit and they clump up, it becomes a little bit of a problem. So I will say after a couple hours of use, these cards are broken in so they spring really good. Show you what a giant fan looks like. Because these cards are crushed, they're also not as snappy as cards with a thicker stock, but don't really have a lot of problems there. If you're into cardistry at all, these cards definitely look good in movement because if the light catches the gold, and there you go. Well guys, that was my look at the First Playing Cards V2 by Chris Ramsay. Overall, in my opinion, the V1 was just a better deck. I really liked the absence of color, so I liked the white and the gold. They looked really good together. And then as well, I liked the thinner gold line work. I was not a huge fan of the big fat gold border on these cards. I do want to give a huge shout out to my buddy Jeff Patton Magic for sending me these. As a matter of fact, he sent me enough of them to where I could review this deck for you and add it to the giveaway brick that I'm currently doing. If you're not familiar with my giveaway at the moment, I will leave a link where you can check it out. Basically, I'm giving away a brick of my favorite playing cards, including this deck right here. And we're losing light by the second, so I am gonna wrap this up a little bit early. If you're interested in winning this deck, check out the link in the description. Drop a like on this video, it doesn't hurt. And as well, subscribe if you haven't already. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your weekend. I know I will. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.